You saw the title. Yes, this is about logistics, not missiles. But here's the twist: the quiet network behind the front line decided who could fight tomorrow. In this video, you'll see how early supply bottlenecks slowed Ukraine's tempo and gave Russia breathing room, and how coordinated US/EU training pipelines, standard procedures, and repair corridors turned that vulnerability into staying power. Stay with me to map the invisible front and why it matters more than any single weapon system. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You heard explosions on the news. The failure that mattered hid in warehouses, rail sidings, and workshop pits. In month 1, trucks, rails, and repair bays chose who got to shoot. Ukraine started with mixed calibers and a peacetime rhythm. Rail nodes split by damage and detours. Too few heavy-lift trucks to move dense loads. Mechanics trained for scheduled service, not battle damage. That blend turns minutes into days. Guns wait. Crews sit on pallets they can't fire, or guns they can't feed. Meanwhile, Russian forces pressed along multiple axes. Artillery spoke first and often. At the edge of the line, diesel ran thin. Crews idled vehicles to keep batteries alive and burned through fuel. When armor broke, teams stripped one hull to keep 2 others mobile, then watched the donor carcass lock up the bay.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said before he'll consider peace talks, Russia must meet one condition.
Stop shelling us, stop killing civilians.
It wants to continue to brutalize the Ukrainian people, wants to continue to shell their cities and towns.
In the last 12 months, Russia has killed tens of thousands of Ukrainian men, women, and children.
Uprooted more than 13 million people from their homes, bombed more than 700 hospitals, and yet the spirit of the Ukrainians remains unbroken. If anything, it's stronger than ever.
Every hour lost upstream turned into a quiet retreat downstream. Here's the rail-to-road choke. Shells reached western depots on time. The handoff killed tempo. Last-mile lift needed flatbeds, cranes, route clearance, and drivers who could run night moves under drone threat. That chain lagged days when it needed hours. Batteries rationed fire. Counter-battery missions slipped off the clock. Russia read the pauses. A silent map of gaps formed. During predictable lulls, units rotated, gun lines shifted, mine belts were reseated, and sappers extended obstacles. Delay created a window. Windows attract fire. Think of a fighter with strong arms and a weak heart. The muscle is there. The pump can't deliver. A concrete snag made it worse. Fronts asked for 122 and 152. Donors sent 155 in waves. Stockpiles split. Training calendars split. Handling rules split. Crews swapped fuses and charges more than they shot, and storage safety margins shrank. The fix didn't arrive as one crate. It arrived as standards, corridors, and a clock that crews could trust. Transport got priority codes. Calibers were assigned to sectors. Repair triage cleared the bays. Batteries climbed back to sustained rates, and fires hit when the plan said they would.
Biggest Russian drone and missile attack of the war. Ukraine says Moscow fired 550 drones and 11 missiles overnight.
To Russia launching a massive aerial assault against Ukraine, the biggest since the invasion more than 3 years ago.
Rescue workers say one person died and 26 were injured.
We've seen the break in the chain. Next, how a NATO-led engine turned that weak heart into endurance. What turned a starving front into a steady hitter? Not a new missile. A clock that finally kept time. US and European logistics cells linked up and acted like one brain. They shared routes, rail slots, and repair capacity. Training pipelines were rebuilt so crews learned on the same systems they would receive, and cross-border maintenance hubs formed a rhythm the front could trust. The friction was real. Border posts stalled loads with mismatched forms. Civilian rail ran on peacetime timetables. Donors shipped one-off gear that didn't mesh with existing kits. Documentation conflicted across languages. Some pallets lacked the right hazard codes. Every snag burned hours. The fix was a common playbook. NATO standard forms rode on every shipment. Pre-cleared corridors cut border stops from a shuffle to a scan. Rail operators carved 24/7 slots for military cargo. Priority codes labeled what moved first: shells, spares, drones. The line turned into an assembly flow, not a relay of favors. Training synced to delivery. Crews trained on donor standard guns and radios before the crates arrived. Simulators mirrored control layouts. Translators and guides cut jargon into plain steps, so units switched to new kit without losing a week to guesswork. Maintenance changed pace. Forward hubs in neighboring states triaged vehicles, swapped modules, and pushed returns in days. Deep rebuilds ran in parallel at depots, so the queue didn't choke. Units sent faults ahead over a shared channel, which meant parts were waiting on arrival. Data put cadence on top. Dashboards tracked stock by effect, counter-battery, breaching, air defense. Loads matched planned tasks. Not generic resupply. Guns stayed in cycle, UAV losses were replaced overnight, and air defense uptime blunted strike patterns that once landed on the hour. Coordination turned logistics into a force multiplier. Ukraine held ground, planned attacks with honest sustainment, and denied Russia easy windows to rotate or mine. The heart kept pace with the arms. And when that rhythm locked in, you felt it at the line. The clock favored the defender, then the counterpuncher. One more truth remains. Endurance wins wars. Strategy lives or dies on the schedule. A plan without a clock is a bluff. Integrated logistics turned a brittle line into sustained combat power. Guns fed on time, crews rotated on time, repairs cleared on time. That rhythm beat back windows the enemy once counted on. If you want deeper breakdowns of how supply beats firepower over time, subscribe and comment your choice below. Training pipelines or repair hubs, what mattered more? I read every take. The next headline system won't matter if the corridor behind it slips by an hour. You win by guarding minutes. You lose by wasting them. Which side owns the clock?